Beijing has denied involvement in the hacking of the US Treasury following claims by Washington, D.C. The Treasury said the hack had been carried out by Chinese state-sponsored actors who remotely accessed several of its workstations and unclassified documents after compromising a third-party software service provider. China's foreign ministry has described the accusations as groundless and politically motivated. For more on this and other tech stories out of the US, I'm joined by Adam Rogers, senior tech correspondent with Business Insider. Good morning, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Let's begin with this news about, what has been the accusation of a Chinese hack on this infrastructure. What can you tell us about it?
Well, as far as I can tell, they're not saying very much yet. The Treasury Department has said it was significant, and that's about all. It does come at a weird time because the existing administration, outgoing now in just a couple of weeks, has already been dealing with other Chinese infiltrations into infrastructure systems. So they've said other things that the Chinese, I believe, have denied. So it just heightens the tension of who's in these systems. Treasury, of course, is a department that deals with Chinese sanctions and a whole bunch of other stuff that the Chinese would be interested in. So it just puts everybody on edge right before we're about to change to a new presidential administration.
Is there any sense, even if Treasury is not saying it directly, about what may have been compromised or at least at risk?
So my understanding is that they're saying that it was there was nothing classified, that the things that were compromised, that the hack didn't get further than a third-party system, but it's hard to know whether that's actually true so far. More information on that will come out over the coming days, I suppose. The weird thing that I've just sort of been reading from some of the security folks saying is that it was a kind of rudimentary hack, the sort of thing that you wouldn't have expected to have been a vulnerability on the part of a U.S. government system. So that's somewhat disconcerting.
Yeah, certainly that there'll be a lot of discussion about that. I want to move to Elon Musk now and the impact that he's already having on, the way that policy is being developed, but very much how the public debate is unfolding. What's your observation?
For sure, and you make a really important distinction because nobody's sure how much of an impact what he's saying is actually going to have on policy once President-elect Donald Trump is sworn into office on the 20th. Right now, he's part of what's essentially, as I understand it, a commission to look at ways to improve government efficiency. They're calling it a department, though it can't really be a department because that has to go through Congress, and that hasn't really happened. Also, it's sort of a joke because Department of Government Efficiency, the initialism is Doge, which is a reference to a sort of cryptocurrency joke that Silicon Valley tech folks like. It's the kind of pun that Elon Musk seems to like. And the things that they've proposed to improve, again, nominally, the efficiency of government are really cuts in things that are surge capacity, preparedness, maybe even healthcare for veterans, things that tend to be very politically popular. So it would be difficult for those to get pulled out of the budget, even though Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who's the other billionaire tech person who's involved in this, are saying that might be a way to balance the federal budget. Maybe not totally clear that's even the goal, but that's sort of the nominal idea.
Yeah, it's certainly unclear, the general thrust of what it will be about. But it is prompting a lot of global discussions about the space of the US and the incoming administration in this tech arena, isn't it?
Right, and it is. Look, it's strange. Elon Musk owns a huge government contractor rocket company called SpaceX. He owns a massive electric car company called Tesla. He owns a huge and controversial social network that used to be called Twitter, that he's called X. He contributed something like $250 million to President-elect Trump's political campaign. That's the thing that can happen in the United States, where companies can just donate millions and millions of dollars to somebody when they're running for political office. And now there's some reporting that says that Musk has been effectively living in a very expensive cottage at Mar-a-Lago, which is the resort in Florida that President-elect Trump owns. And so he has the ear of the president. And what he'll do with that ear is unclear. It's especially strange because one of the main things that Donald Trump ran on was a really extreme perspective on immigration. He was saying that he's going to kick out every illegal immigrant and maybe even legal immigrants to the United States, even though that would have profound consequences for the U.S. economy. That's something that Silicon Valley really doesn't want to have happen because, for one thing, for a particular bureaucratic thing called an H-1B visa, they employ a lot of people in high-level jobs who are legal immigrants. And so restricting that threatens what Silicon Valley is doing. So now there's been kind of a schism in what the Trump-aligned Silicon Valley tech folks want and what the immigration hardliners in the Trump administration want. So nobody knows what's going to happen because it wasn't clear what they were going to do in the first place, how much they were going to be legally allowed to do on immigration and how much they might do anyway, because so much of this depends on what Trump-aligned folks in Congress want to do. And also the 3 Supreme Court justices out of the 9 who President-elect Trump nominated to the court in his last administration.
Yeah, which all of that creates quite a bit of uncertainty. We also know that there's a court decision due later this month around TikTok. And I understand that President-elect Donald Trump has made some comments or started to make some noises about this.
Well, he has asked that the government not make a determination, or the Supreme Court not make a determination about whether TikTok would be banned or have to change owners, or that's unclear as well what the outcome would be, until the 19th of January. President-elect Trump would be sworn into the presidency on the 20th. And he did that in a filing to the Supreme Court, to the US Supreme Court, written by an attorney who it seems likely will be his Solicitor General, which is to say the president's personal professional attorney when he gets into office. And the filing itself was it had an unusual tone, I guess I would say. It was very much sort of saying that only Donald Trump, because of his consummate skill with deal making, would be the one who could solve the problem of Chinese ownership of TikTok and whether it was a vector for disinformation, misinformation, a Chinese op in kids looking at TikTok. It's especially strange because the president, though maybe this will go into a blind trust, the president also is a part owner of a social network called Truth Social, and Elon Musk, who's now has the ear of the president, is also the owner of a giant social network called Twitter, or used to be called Twitter, now called X. So they're also business competitors in a way, even though TikTok does a sort of different thing than the text-based social networks.
Yeah, it's incredibly complicated. And look, just finally, you've been doing a lot of reporting around artificial intelligence. What's your prediction of it for this coming year?
I think in the coming year, there's going to be a lot of decision points coming up, like how many data centers, which are the places where the computer chips that run the actual computations that become artificial intelligence are going to be, how many of those are going to be approved? They use a tremendous amount of electricity, a tremendous amount of water. That's an issue for all the regions there in place. Companies have been saying they're going to put AI into a lot of different products. This is the year where we start to see those, especially big companies like Apple start to put in their own versions of artificial intelligence that's happened already, into the operating systems of the new computers and the new phones. But so far, the companies trying to use these products haven't shown that they've made a tremendous profit, that there's a tremendous demand for them, except in specific sectors. And the investors eventually are going to want to know, when do they get their money back? So the question is, what products can artificial intelligence, especially the generative artificial intelligence that goes into chatbots like OpenAI's ChatGPT, what do they actually do? What kinds of products do they become? This is the year where we see, can they do anything that people actually want to pay for?